It's been fantastic being back here. I've been so excited to come back, and I've noticed a few things. I've noticed okay. There's a few differences that are jarring to me, and I didn't notice them the first time, even the second time that I came here. Your taxi drivers are so good. I'm not sure what you're used to. Maybe I've only had the nice ones. I have no idea. But they're like knowledgeable. Maybe I'm not getting it across. They have to take like a test, like a hard test, and you know about it. I'm not saying that the taxi drivers in New York don't have to take a test. I'm sure there's some tests, but it feels like the test in New York is hitting your first person. Like, just... The test that y'all have created for your taxi drivers, to me, is wild, because it's a lot of knowledge that you have to have in you. Like, you need to know. And I understand that's probably back from when there were no alternatives. Like, they made this test a long time ago when, you should know every inch, every corner, because you're gonna have to get people where they're going, and they may not know. But then GPS did come out. And so the fact that for the test, y'all make these taxi drivers sit there. They're not even taxi drivers yet. They want to be taxi drivers. And you make them sit there and tell them, hey, get me to this place. But they're not driving. They don't drive you there. They got to know how to get there in their head. That blows my mind. That they have to sit there and be like, all right, left on, right on, straight, 2 blocks. They have to do that like they're playing chess. Meanwhile, in the U.S., you hop in a cab. I've hopped in cabs that weren't that far from my apartment and told them my address, and they were like, where? Like, I've been in a cab with the cab driver, and both of us are lost. Like, I'm not saying people can't have a bad day or not know where something is. Maybe they've never been somewhere before. I understand that New York is a very big place and everything. But if I also have to pull out my Google Maps while you pull out your Google Maps, I don't know, maybe some sort of discount is in order. Like, I've been in the taxis here, and they're so chipper. Ask you about yourself, how long you're visiting. And this isn't just one, this is like several. This has been my general experience, that they're very, very nice. They're very, very professional, I understand everybody probably isn't that way, but wow, by and large, I've been amazed. There was one time I took a cab when I was in New York, and it was a similar situation where I looked up and I was like, okay, maybe he's going a different way than I'm used to, because I was going home. And finally, I just, to myself, quietly, opened my phone, put my address in Google Maps, and I could see where we were and where home was. And then I knew where we had left, and it should have been a pretty straight shot. And we were going to the right. And in my head, I was like, is he taking me somewhere? But this is terrifying. And so after like 2 blocks of us going in the wrong direction for what felt like no reason, I finally said, sir, and then he went, oh! He had forgotten I was in the taxi. And I guess just started driving home. I don't know where he was going. And we were like, I say it should have been a straight shot. We had veered off a decent amount. Like, I had called it out 2 streets from where I found us on Google, but we were very much to the right of where I live. And so finally I was like, hey, are you all right? He's like, oh, yeah, you scared me. No, sir. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I was in the middle of trying to pay you. And he's like, yeah, you scared me. Whew. Oh, man. Yeah, where'd you want to go? And I said my address, and he was like, oh, that's a little far. Just saying, treasure what you have. Even the fire doors here, y'all take very seriously. The fire doors are big here. We have them in the U.S. too, except there's one big difference between our fire doors there and your fire doors here. Your fire doors open in, which shocked me. They open in. And I was talking to somebody about it, talked to several people about it, and they were like, oh yeah, they open in because you don't want the backdraft to like let the fire out and everything, which does make, that's science. That's logic, yes. But if I'm using the fire door, I would love to get out as fast as possible. That's just me. That's what we do over there, right? Which might be why so many of our buildings last, I suppose. But I was like, why do y'all open them in? Like the people using the fire door trying to get out. And the guy that I was talking to was like, look, yeah, I understand that may seem odd to you, but we as a country have made an agreement that you're already on fire. Be a gentleman about it and don't catch everyone else on fire, all right? I've been walking around London, been enjoying being here and everything. You know, it's hard to not just notice all the differences. Like what things are like where you're from and what things are like in the place that you're visiting. And I gotta say, wow, y'all really just walk out in front of the car like that. That is just... That is insane. This is a wild thing to do. I know they don't hit you or whatever, and they're not supposed to, and I don't know what happens to them if they do. But the way y'all will step out and the car is here. Wow. I'm not like a fighter. I don't know how. Jimmy, like I've tried before, but I fight the same way that I bake. After a while, I'm just doing stuff with my hands to do it, but I'm not sure if this is right and it's not getting us anywhere. You know? Like one time, I was at this pizza party, okay? It's a pizza party that our class got because we had been good, which will be ironic in a second. But the teacher, because we got this pizza party for being so good, the teacher had built trust in us, which was a huge mistake. And so the teacher ordered pizza for the class. We got all these pizzas and dished out like 2 slices for everybody. Pick any 2 slices of these 3 to 4 different kinds of pizza that you like. And then our teacher left the room. And I don't know where this teacher went. It wasn't until I got older that I could even read the signs and think back about it in a way that contextualize why this teacher may have left. I think the pizza party, I think the teacher leaving was because they were hungover. They clearly had to be hungover. This whole thing screams hungover because they left and they never came back. They never came back for the rest of the class. And so everybody's eating pizza. Some people are getting more full than others quicker and everything. And then finally, there was one slice left. And when I tell you that this classroom turned to Lord of the Flies so quickly, you would think we had never eaten. You would think this is a pizza party where almost all of us were full, and everyone wanted the last slice just to have it, so much so that people even debated whether we should just rip it up and let everybody have a little bit. And then a couple people were like, no, that's crazy. What's wrong with you? There's a whole slice of pizza for one of us. And this is how I knew I didn't know how to fight, because I also wanted a piece of the pizza. Admittedly, I was also like, let me go ahead, throw my hat in there, right? And there was one kid, he was very big. And so some people didn't want the smoke immediately, because he was first to get tall. And tall in your mind when you're a kid means grown, so he's the adult in the room. But I was like, no, I want some of this pizza. There were some other kids, I want some of this pizza. And because he was bigger than everybody, he was like, all right, we'll decide this fair and square. Let's fight for it. And two other kids had backed up before he had finished the sentence, fight for it. I was the only one still sort of standing there waiting to hear the end of his sentence. And so once he said fight for it, I was like, ooh. So it's going to be a couple of us and you, or is it? But then I turned and everybody had backed up so many steps. I was like, uh-oh, I'm the only one. Man, y'all made a circle fast. Everybody came together to, wow, y'all moved the desks. This is, this is crazy. Why can't y'all be this organized when we play basketball? This is, And so then it was me and him. And I didn't know how to fight then. I don't really know how to fight now, but I think it starts with a push. I've seen that a lot in movies where it's like the fight starts, first person gotta like, You know? And so I backed up a little bit. And I was like, okay. Okay. I'm gonna push him. He gonna fall down. He gonna explode. I'm gonna get some pizza. Also, you should know that your opponent doesn't know how to fight and to go easy on them when instead of this, they do this. This is salsa. And so I was like, okay. Huh. And I went to push him, and I fell back. Because he wasn't built like a child, to be fair. And then I spring up real quick. I was like, okay, that didn't work. Looks like we're gonna have to go to slaps. Slaps are next. And so I tried to fake him out. I reared back like I was gonna punch him, and then I used my other hand. I was like, because I had seen that in the cartoons. I was like, that's how you gather the power. And then I tried to fake him out, other hand. And also, like in the cartoons, his head turned, and then he just stared at me. And before I could say, uh-oh, he punched me in my face, right? Now, you're never actually supposed to see yourself. No, that's like a fact. You never see yourself. Like when you even look in a mirror, you're looking at your reflection. You're looking at yourself reversed. Like you're never supposed to see yourself, really. Like not in the natural world. People can take pictures and stuff, but you're not supposed to see yourself the way other people see you. That's just That's a thing that I learned in school, right? That you never see yourself exactly the way other people see you. You see a version of yourself, and it's actually why sometimes you can get in your head, because the version of yourself you see might not reflect the version that other people see at all. And so sometimes you sound delusional off of how you see yourself versus what they see. I said all that to say they punched me so hard in the face that I think my eyes saw each other. I don't know. So the punch looked like an optical illusion where, you know how you forget your nose? Like your nose is actually in your field of vision all the time, but your brain forgets it, or else a nose would be blocking everything that you see all the time. So then you don't see your nose, but it's right there. It's right in your face. And the punch worked the same way. I didn't really see it coming, and then I saw it for a second, and then it was gone, which is how I thought, oh, maybe my head is caved around his fist. Now I know that this didn't happen, because if it happened, I wouldn't be here right now. But this is what it felt like, because I was like, oh wow, it's coming fast. I saw it, and now I don't see it, but I feel it. That's crazy. Does he have superpowers? And then he reared back, right? And so I was like, all right, I think the best defense for whatever that was is to just start swinging. And so then I swung again, and you ever play Grand Theft Auto and fly out the car? And you know how you get that doll effect? You're sort of flying forever, and then you bounce and it changes your trajectory a little bit. Okay, anyway, I said that to say that I reared back for a real punch this time, no slap. Reared back, it was gonna be a real punch, and then when I started swinging, he hit me again. I didn't see this one at all. It felt like he had somebody help or something, because he hit me, I know he came around like this, but it stayed hidden forever. This kid hit me, and I turned my head from the punch and licked my elbow. Which you're not supposed to be able to do. You're actually not supposed, it's like a party trick if you can lick your elbow. You're not supposed to touch your elbow, but I think I twisted so hard with my mouth open saying no that I caught a taste of my elbow. Whole reason I tell you about this is that years later, oh, he got the pizza, by the way. Years later, I found out that our teacher, who gave us the pizza party and then left us, who I'm sure now, through hindsight, was hungover, was seen later by one of our classmates who went to the bathroom, and on the way to the bathroom, they passed the teacher's lounge, and in the teacher's lounge, they saw our teacher just sitting, eating a whole pizza by themselves. Head hanging over the pizza, but whole pizza nonetheless. We were fighting for the last slice. You had like 11 more. It was crazy. I tried really hard to take a break, because I never want to be the type of person that talks about the same thing over and over again, you know? I thought, okay, maybe it's not even worth talking about, you know? Like Trump went to Davos. He went to Davos, and he was like, I demand Greenland. And then everybody at Davos was like, ah. And he was like, I want it, and I'm gonna take it. This is before he got there. I'm gonna take it. We're gonna get it. We're gonna take it. If you don't give it to us, we're gonna take it. And then he got there, and then when they were like, but yeah, you say you're gonna take it, but are you gonna like use military force? Are you really gonna come get it? Do you want the smoke? And he was like, I just like to have it if you. No, it's just if you want it, I don't know, if you just wanted to see me happy. No, if it felt like doing me a favor. You know what I'm saying? Like I thought we were friends, but whatever. It's cool. But like, it'd be cooler if you gave it to me. And then they were like, no. And he was like, what about a little bit? What about some? Like, we're already there all the time. Maybe some. Maybe give me 2 pieces. Can I have 2 Greenlands? Just 2 little pieces. If it's okay with you. And they went, they, negotiated. And from my understanding, what they have decided is that the areas where there's already a U.S. military base in Greenland, those pieces of land where that base is will be seen as like sovereign U.S. land, but no other land, no land that they weren't already on, is becoming U.S. land, which is not the same thing as taking Greenland. It's basically saying you can stand on the ground you're standing on like you were already standing there. Because you need to stand somewhere, I suppose. And no matter how they try to spend it, no matter how they try to spend it, no matter how they try to like art of the deal it or whatever, he knows, because when he approached the press and they were like, sir, did you, because they're at Davos, this is here, this is where he's sitting, I'm gonna go get it. And they were like, sir, did you get Greenland? He, all by himself, himself, no one else, he, alone, he. They asked him, and then he was like, so you should have played it off. I thought you were gonna come out there and be like, we got some Greenland. Because technically you did get a little bit of Greenland, the Greenland you were already standing on. That's something, kind of. It's nothing like what you said, but it's something. It's like, stuff happens. All you can do is try. Because you do the best you can to not have to think about things. Sometimes to not think about the news and what's going on. It's like, it's a constant thing. It's like beating you down all the time. Every notification, every scroll on any platform. Whole algorithms dedicated to reminding you everything that's going on, And when you see what's happening in Minnesota, when you see this latest murder, because that's what it is. There's no way around it. There's no justification. There's no both sides in it. By any manner of how you look at things, ethically, morally, legally, this thing was murder. And so you see Alex Preddy in Minneapolis, Minnesota, trying to take up for someone else, trying to defend someone else, right? ICE pushed this woman to the ground, and he stepped in the way, had his hands up. And they didn't just knock him to the ground. They pistol whipped him, they beat him, and they shot him. All of it on camera, all of it with people watching. And I think it's very easy to see something like that happen somewhere else, and while being shocked, while being disgusted and horrified, while understanding every transgression, every moral failing about it, it's very easy to say, this thing is horrible. Thank God it can't happen here. And the problem with thinking that way is that that's exactly how things happen here. You think it can't come, and you think it can't come by virtue of who you are or how things operate. And then when it's at your doorstep, you almost don't know what to do. Because I'm telling you, as someone who has lived in the U.S. my entire life and grew up around people who watched the rest of the world, watched coups, watched civil wars, watched all manner of horrific things, and watch people say, thank God that can never happen here. And then it starts to. And these people don't know what to do with themselves, because the whole reason it wasn't happening here was because we just told ourselves that it couldn't. We told ourselves a lie to make ourselves feel better. The only way it can't happen here is if it actually can't happen here. The only way it can't happen here is through the action it takes to hold people accountable nonstop to where it can never happen here. The only way that it cannot happen here is if there's an understanding that it could happen here. You know? I don't want to see what happened in Minneapolis happen anywhere else. Anywhere else in the world, anywhere else in the U.S. But there needs to be an understanding of what is happening. We're all the way to science fiction now. We're all the way to the classics. We're living in some sort of like George Orwell excerpt. It's happening because you see the video. You can see the video from so many angles. And then you see the statements by the Department of Homeland Security. You see the statements by potentially the president. You see the statements by people, political pundits on Twitter. And they are telling you not to believe your eyes. They're lying in your face. That's not what you heard. The way these systems work is that you would think, at least, the way it's propped up is a three-tiered system, right? There's the person on the ground. There's the person you might actually come in contact with, and maybe they believe certain things, maybe y'all butt heads, right? Then above that tier is the actual politician, the politician that stokes them up. They blow the dog whistles that get this person to say the thing out loud. But then above that, even above the politician, is the person that pays the politician. The person that, if we're talking about a world of puppets and puppet masters, is actually pulling the strings. A person that you will never come in contact with, even though you will feel the extension of their power. You know? We see these systems fighting each other, right? Because someone would ask, anyone could ask, where are the Democrats right now? Where have the Democrats been? And you'll see some Democrats actually make some sort of statement, you know? But the statement will, interestingly, not have the same bite that you would expect. Y'all are supposed to be the opposition party. What's happening? What's happening is that the same corporate interests pay both people. You know, there's one party that is a bit better at being an extension of those interests outwardly, openly. But the other party is paid to do nothing in the meantime. But make no mistake, both parties can be owned. It's why you should never put your faith in a party. You put your faith in people all the time. You never stop believing in people. People move those parties. Those parties don't mean anything. Parties don't believe in anything. It's the people in those parties that actually make action happen. There's no one party that has handled everything right throughout human history or any government, but there are people that use the momentum that they create through a party to affect change. You know, they'll have you fighting over scraps, over whose scraps these should be. Meanwhile, they've broken off a whole piece for themselves. And the politician is perfectly happy to let them because they've already been paid off. You have to trust in the people that you meet. You have to build community anywhere that you can. And when you build a community large enough, you have an entire network of people that you can trust. Because trust, when you see something like what's happening right now in the U.S., where ICE attacked that man. ICE attacked that woman that the man was defending. ICE took away his weapon, a weapon he wasn't using. It's on camera. You can watch the whole thing. ICE beat that man. They shot him several times. And you can watch that entire thing. And maybe you can find some conscionable reason that this would happen, why everything hasn't gone awry. But I think if you can, then you might be a little bit too far gone. This thing was sick and it was illegal. And it's scary when your law is on the other side of legal. When you don't know what to do. And it's hard to know what to do. These are big forces we're talking about. You're talking about huge corporations, oligarchs, billionaires. I'm talking about senators. We're talking about politicians that have real meetings with people with power. So it's hard to know what to do. But you do what you can. You do everything that you can. I am not a fighter. I don't know how. I tried to fight for some pizza once. And I saw my own eyes. So maybe you're not a fighter. Maybe you organize. Maybe you're a connector. Maybe you do your best to bring people together. But any action that you do is something. Every action that you do is something. All these people, thousands of people protesting in Minnesota right now is also for the world to see. They took a life in front of the entire world. Scare everybody. Maybe scare you. So that when this comes here, maybe you comply in advance. Palantir isn't just in one country. No? But thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people gathered together in negative 20 degrees. And that's Fahrenheit. I don't know what y'all would call it. But thousands of people gathered together in the cold to protest what they see that is illegal, that is wrong, that is immoral, that is not just unethical, that is tearing down every institution of the Constitution that the people that are representing them supposedly want to uphold. That's not nothing. You see those massive numbers and you see how you're not the only one who thinks something's going wrong. And when you're not the only one that thinks something's going wrong, you're not the only voice shouting for them to stop. And when you're not the only voice shouting for them to stop, you're not the only one rising up to make it stop. And when you're not the only one rising up to make it stop, you have an entire army of people behind you that support you, that have your back. Alex Breddy said, this is what's been said before he went to the protest, that he just wanted to make a difference. That's all he wanted. Trying to make a difference, standing in between someone else and more harm. That's something that's very brave to do. It's very scary to do. But it's what he could do. So he did it. Because now there is something that is on us. It's on every person that watches one of those videos. Alex wanted to make a difference. We decide if it makes a difference. All of us do. Everywhere. You may think to yourself, well, look, I'm just a person living in the UK. Don't know what I can do for the people in the US. You can let them hear your voice. You can let them know that you see what's happening, that no one's fooling you, that they have your support. You can make sure that what's happening there never happens here. You can make sure that it can't happen here. If it can't happen here, then that's a start. We were sure it couldn't happen to us. We were like, come on, this is America. And the corporations were like, yeah, we know. You know? But I sincerely hope that every single one of you understand that your life is precious, and it has more meaning to other people that you haven't met yet than you could ever imagine. And so anytime one of these things, one of these terrible events, one of these corporations, one of these billionaires, one of these politicians tries to make you feel small, you need to understand that they're just a person too. And they're a person that's scared. It's why they want to scare you. They can't scare you because you won't let it happen here. If you see anything like it happening, you just have to snuff that thing out. You just have to make sure you call it what it is. And from afar, you know? The key is prevention. Alex Peretti said to people before he went to protest that he just wanted to make a difference. We decide what that difference is because they took him from us. So that difference has to mean something. It can't just mean something in the U.S. I think it has to mean something everywhere. Everywhere that this evil can go, the difference has to go. You know? I'll tell you this thing before I go so that you heard something funny. It is wild how when you come here and you be walking around, I can't help but compare. I'll take the tube and wow, this thing, it's very clean. I say that and you might be thinking to yourself, no, it's not clean. I saw a bag of crisps on the floor. When I tell you it's incredibly sweet that you think that that is dirty, I come from New York, where the subway, it's a way to travel. The subway has caked up. I don't think I'm touching the floor when I walk on the subway. It's not just dirty, it's dirty with history. Like I don't even know if this is the initial color they intended for the subway to be. And when you look at the tracks here, when you look at the tracks of the tube, you see the tracks. Wow. Didn't even know what technology we were using to move these trains. When you look at the tracks in New York City, you see not just a rat. You see a congregation. You witness a meeting. I don't know what they're talking about, but it must be important because everybody listening. I'm not saying you don't have your issues with your tube. I'm not even saying that you don't have at least one in the whole system. I'm sure there's one delicate Disney Pixar mouse. I'm sure you have one Paddington type mouse that goes on little adventures with his friends and learns valuable lessons about responsibility. I'm positive. It seems like you would have that. Yes, I'm sure that you have one little mouse that chirps when he talks, squeaks a little bit anytime he gets excited. Y'all probably named him or whatever. Leave cheese out for him. No, I'm talking about a harrowing scenario. I'm talking about okay. Normally, and anyone who has been to New York City or lived in New York can attest to this, when you see the rats on the track, it's almost like a little zoo. You're like, oh, look at them. I mean, that's gross, but like, yeah, going about their day and everything. Oh, I wonder what that one's talking to that one about. Oh, they're both chasing each other back and forth and everything. Oh, they see a little bit of food, they're getting the food. And there's a very like innocent, I would even say like cohabitating mentality to it. Where you're like, all right, I'm not gonna do anything about this. And they're there and it's not affecting me, so whatever. But every once in a while, every once in a while, one of those rats will try to climb up to the platform where you are. And as soon as it happens, you're like, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it. Because it doesn't even try to climb up normal. This thing doesn't it doesn't just peek its head up. This thing... There was one time it was happening. There was one time this rat was climbing up the platform, gripping, trying to get on top. And everybody, some people backed up, 2 people screamed. It's one of the rare times in my life that I sprung into action. Because he was climbing up. It felt like he was halfway there, and I was like,